everyone, so today's video is going to be all about some popular books that I've read that I actually enjoyed. Now I'm someone who doesn't necessarily avoid popular books, but I do not read them if I think I'm not gonna like them. Like, I used to do that, but now that I've gotten older, I guess, and gotten more mature, I'm I don't need to read every single popular book, just because everyone else reads it and enjoys it doesn't mean I'm going to. I do that especially with romance books. If a romance book becomes really popular, I'm good for them, but I'm probably not gonna enjoy it. So in this video I'm gonna attempt to talk about some popular books that I enjoyed. I am currently sick as I'm filming this. I've been sick for the past couple weeks. That's why my upload schedule was a bit weird. I think this video will be posted a couple months after I got sick though, so you guys probably don't even remember me getting sick or me not uploading for 3 weeks. But yeah, this is the first time I filmed a video in a month. I filmed the video right before this, but it was very short, and my voice is already kind of not hurting necessarily, but it's definitely not as strong as it should be. So yeah, if you hear me being, a bit hoarse and sounding a bit nasally, it's because of that. I'm still sick. But I wanted to film some videos because, again, I feel I'm not sick enough anymore to not film, but I still feel I'm still sick enough that I can't film long videos. So yeah, I only have 5 books on this list because of that, because I'm sick and I can't talk about anymore. So if you guys want a follow-up video for this, I can make one. So yeah, let's just get into the popular books I actually enjoyed, so I can stop filming this as soon as I can. So the first book on this list is Yellowface. Now I actually have a couple books from this author, so I feel the author is more popular than the book necessarily. The book is also popular, but it's the author that's well known. And I haven't read any of her other books that I own because they're fantasy and very difficult books to read for me. As someone who's dyslexic and whose native language is not English, it's very difficult for me to read those type of books, and I have to be in a very specific mood in order to read them. I'm really excited to read those books, especially because I loved this book, but I know that this book is an easier read for me than the other two. The other two that I own is The Poppy War and Babel, and yeah, I'm gonna read those as well because, again, like I said, I really liked this book. I like the writing style. But again, I know that I'm probably going to struggle with the other 2 books more than I struggled with this one. I didn't actually struggle with this one. It was actually quite easy for me to read. It was enjoyable, way more enjoyable than I was expecting. The subject is not enjoyable necessarily, but the way that it's written is very immersive. This is definitely a book where I was reading it and I was almost hate reading it. Not necessarily because I hated the book, but because I hated the main character. I was reading it and I was just constantly angry at what she was doing. And I feel I don't know, I wouldn't call that hate reading necessarily, because again, I was enjoying the book, but I was hating the character. But that's on purpose, you know? You're supposed to hate her, and I don't know, it was very interesting for me to read. I quite liked it. Again, the subject is not fun, so calling it a book that I liked is a bit weird, but I liked reading it. Again, liked doesn't feel like the right word, but yeah, it was a good book. Gave it 5 stars. I will read the author's other books. Again, those will be more difficult for me to read, but I will try because, again, I did like the writing style and the way this book was set up and all that. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I will enjoy their other books, but I will just struggle with them more than I struggled with this one. So yeah, it was a good book. 5 stars. Can't wait to read the other books, even though I'm slightly scared. Then the next book is The Book Thief. Now, this book, I would consider it a classic, I guess. And so because it's a classic and because a lot of people enjoy it, and again, it's one of the more popular classics. Again, I don't know if it's actually classified as a classic, but I feel in my mind it is. And yeah, a lot of people enjoyed this book. I was very scared that I wasn't gonna like it, especially because it is quite a big book and it's about war, and I'm not really someone who reads about war, so I don't know if I was gonna enjoy it. And technically I didn't enjoy it. I was crying a lot during it, I can't remember if I cried like a lot, or if it just was like the last like 2 pages that did it. But like those last 2 pages, like that was kind of weird because I was like, oh, I'm not crying that hard, or I wasn't crying at all. I can't remember. And then I read like the last like 2 pages, and I was like bawling my eyes out, and I was like, how does that even happen? Like, how do you get to the last 2 pages of the book and then start bawling your eyes out? Like, that's a really weird experience for me. So yeah, it wasn't necessarily like an enjoyable book to read, but like it was interesting. Will I ever reread it? Probably not, because again, it's really long and it's about the war, and that's just not for me. But yeah, I did like reading it, and I'm glad I read it because again, it's technically a classic, I think. So yeah, I'm gonna move on to the next book now because I feel like it's also getting very dark outside. I hope it's not like showing up on camera how dark it's currently getting. It's still quite early in the day, but it feels like it's gonna like storm or something. So I hope it's not like too noticeable on camera that it's getting dark in my room. So yeah, let's move on to the next book. The next book is More Happy Than Not. Now, this book is not necessarily popular, but the author is very popular. It's the same author who wrote They Both Die at the End, and I feel like that's a very popular series. Like, is it a series? Like, there's 2 books in that series. Like, again, I don't know if you can technically call it a series. So yeah, the author's very popular. I think this is actually like one of his least like well-known books, I'm pretty sure. But I quite liked it. I liked it more than the other book I read of him, which was History Is All You Left Me. I didn't like not like that book, but I gave it like 3.5 stars maybe. I gave this one 4 stars or maybe 4.5. Like I didn't like the way that some of the things were handled in this book, like the language that was being used. Like I'm pretty sure like a slur was used at like the very end of the book. I didn't enjoy that, but like I didn't enjoy the way that like the story was told, and like the story itself was very interesting. So yeah, I put this book on here just because again, it's not a popular book necessarily, but it is a popular author, and I did kind of enjoy this book. Again, I gave it like 4 stars, which is not like I fully loved it, but like it's not I hated it either. So yeah, that's why I put it on here. I quite liked reading this. Again, the subject is a bit weird to say I liked reading about it. Like it's a bit weird, but yeah, I quite liked reading it. And let's move on to the next book because I'm starting to feel more and more sick as I keep talking. So yeah, so the next book is The Way I Used to Be. Now I actually didn't know that this was a popular book. Like I knew that it was kind of like well liked when I first bought it because I bought it like a couple of years ago and I only like recently read it, and I knew that it was like well liked, but I didn't think it was popular necessarily. And then I posted this book on Instagram and I talked about the fact that I read it, and someone in the comments was like, oh yeah, it was like really popular a couple of years ago and back then I read it. And I was like, really? Like this classifies as like a popular book? Like I didn't know that. But yeah, I really liked it. I didn't know it was popular, but it was a really good read. I also read the sequel for this, which is why I waited until now to read these books because I knew the sequel wasn't going to come out this year, last year, I can't remember. But yeah, I wanted to read the sequel as well, like right after this one, which is exactly what I did. So yeah, the sequel wasn't my favorite. Like I didn't think it was that good in comparison to this. Like this was genuinely good. The sequel, a bit less good, but I feel like that's what you get when it comes to a popular book like this. Again, I didn't know it was classified as popular, but again, when you have a popular well-loved book like this, and again I also liked it, usually like authors tend to like struggle to follow up with that because they can't live up to those expectations, which is normal. That's fine. Like the sequel wasn't bad necessarily, it just didn't live up to these expectations. So yeah, I really did enjoy this. It is a very difficult book to read, so again the word enjoy doesn't really work with the subject because the subject is very bad, like very bad. I don't know if I can say it like on YouTube without getting like, I don't know, my video taken down or something. But the subject is like not fun like at all. And I feel like the sequel for this book doesn't talk about the subject anymore necessarily. It talks more about the relationship between the 2 characters that you see in this book. And I'm not the biggest fan of like romance books, so like it's normal that I didn't like the sequel as much as this. So yeah, I did enjoy it. I would recommend it, but again, look up the trigger warnings and like look up what it's about, because otherwise you're gonna get into a book that's gonna trigger you, and that's not a good thing. So yeah, I would recommend it. I liked it, but be careful. Then the last book on this list is One Last Stop. Now this book is not necessarily popular, but the author is. It is by the same author as Red, White, and Royal Blue. I always struggle to pronounce that title, but yeah, it's by the same author. I haven't actually read that book. I was like halfway through reading it, and then I stopped because I lost interest. I will read it someday, like fully, but yeah, I enjoyed this book a lot actually. I was expecting to like this book less than the other book. I'm not going to pronounce that title again, but yeah, I was expecting to like this book less than the other book because I saw some people who have like quite a similar reading taste to me saying that they liked this book less than the other one, and I think I will actually like this book more. Like, even though I haven't fully read the other book, I will probably still rate this one higher. I really enjoyed it. Like, it's a really good book. It has a sapphic relationship. I really enjoyed it. I think it's one of my favorite books with a sapphic relationship. But yeah, I would highly recommend it. If you have read the other book, I would recommend reading this one as well. It's very good in my opinion. It's a bit like sci-fi-ish. Like, it has some of those like vibes, which I know that like some people don't really like that type of book. But I feel like for me, who also doesn't really like sci-fi that much, it wasn't too much that I disliked it. And I wish I could talk more about this book, but I am starting to again really struggle to like keep my voice at like a good like volume so that you guys can hear me. Like I'm pretty sure you can tell like I'm very hoarse from like all the coughing I've been doing and all the coughing I'm still doing. So like yeah, I'm gonna put this book down now. This was the last book on this like list, so I'm just gonna do the outro and then I'm done filming for the day. So I am very glad this video is over. I have now filmed 2 videos today and both of them were kind of short. At least I managed to film them. Again, I'm really sorry for my voice and the way that I sound, and probably the way that I look as well, even though I did put quite a bit of an effort into my outfit. Like, I'm pretty sure my hair is hiding half of it, but I did put an effort into my outfit, but I feel like that doesn't cover the fact that I still look sick. So yeah, I'm really sorry about that. I hope it wasn't like too distracting, like the way that I look and the way that I sound. And yeah, if you guys want like a follow-up video to this one, I will make one sometime soon. I will have to find more popular books that I like first, because I couldn't find a lot of them. That's why there's only like 5 on this list. So if you guys want to, you can give me some like book recommendations in the comments, like popular book recommendations. And yeah, I am gonna stop this video now because I'm also becoming like very nauseous. So yeah, let's try and not pass out before this video is done. So yeah, thank you guys for watching and bye.